I've been covering Aston Villa on this channel for the last 18 months or 2 years or so. I particularly remember the Pau Torres transfer going through because that, alongside the likes of Moussa Diaby, really did feel that Villa were serious and, given Monchi and Unai Emery all the resources of an established top-end Premier League club, it really just felt like this could go super well, very well. And I don't think anyone expected last season to happen, and I don't think anyone would have expected, fast forward 18 months or whatever, they would be beating Bayern Munich at home. When Pau Torres' goal that opened the scoring was ruled out, it really did hurt me, but Villa were great on the night. It's a huge Champions League memory that I will remember for a long time, no doubt about it. And I was setting up to do a little video having a look at Aston Villa because on the league standings as well, right within touching distance of the top of the real runners and riders already in the league, thinking about, wow, how special this year could be. But having a look at how this season has actually shaken out so far for Villa, as well as the fixture list that's coming up, I'm not too sure, as things stand now, if Villa have either been lucky, and I mean that in the footballing sense, they have scored some absolute bangers, to name just that, never mind anything else. Or are they showing what a lot of people call the hallmark of champions in terms of how they've been getting through their games so far and what they will need to continue showing to get through the fixture list that's about to be coming up for them? Or it might be somewhere in the middle. I want to hear from you guys in the comment sections. What are Aston Villa? Are they the real deal? Are they really, again, going from strength to strength season on season? Is this a bit of a purple patch that might just normalise out over the season? Let me know in the comment sections of this one. I'd be really interested to catch what the Villa fans think. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, on the surface, everything for Aston Villa is rosy in the garden. As we look at the Premier League table today, before they play Man United before the international break, they sit 5th in the table with 6 games played, 13 points, only 2 points off of the summit, with only 1 loss and 1 draw, a decent enough goal difference, and having beat Bayern Munich to get 2 wins out of 2 in the Champions League. It really does feel that, Villa are hitting the ground running and they're picking up where they left off from last season. When you see it as Man United at home right after beating Bayern Munich, that does make you think this is going to be a good weekend for Villa again. And then after the international break, away to Fulham, Bologna in the Champions League, Bournemouth, Palace in the Cup, and then Tottenham. Well, Tottenham kicks off November, which we'll talk about in a second. But that's not so bad, they're in 5th at the moment. And really, over those games, if, I know Crystal Palace here is a cup, but if I was to tell you that Villa will win all those games, or win all but draw 1, or something like that, you'd probably believe me. And we could probably all imagine that quite easy enough. And that would only reinforce everything that's going so good for them at the moment. But once we get to that Tottenham game, that starts off November. Now, November is a really tough little period of fixtures for Aston Villa. Away to Tottenham, away to Bruges, away to Liverpool, all on the spin, before playing Palace again in the league at home, before welcoming Juventus, and then, Chelsea then takes you into December there. But that stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games over like 28 days or so, 30 days, or yeah, whatever it works out for, the 3rd of November to the 1st of December, could be really season defining for them. And the reason why I kind of get split on where Villa are at the moment is because if we look at, like what have they been doing so far? How has their form been this year? The only points they've dropped is at home to Arsenal, losing 2-0, and away to Ipswich, drawing 2 each. And again, at a glance, when you look at this, beating West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Wolves, and then obviously Bayern Munich right there at the top, it looks like, this is all going to plan. Villa are being quite strong, quite commanding, and all the rest of it. But the West Ham game, Onana opened the scoring very quickly, but with a West Ham penalty, it became 1 each in the 37th minute and ultimately at half-time. And it wasn't until John Duran comes off the bench to win the game by 2-1. And Leicester away end up going 2-0 in front, and, with Leicester's goal towards the end, the John Duran goal again is the difference. But then against Everton, we're looking at this game, and they go 2-0 down in the first 27 minutes and have to rescue it back all the way to winning the game by 3-2. Again, that man John Duran off the bench to make the difference. And then the Wolves game, Wolves open the scoring in this one. Villa don't get back on level terms until like the 76th minute or something like that. And then the other 2 goals that make the result a bit glossier and finish it off 3-1, coming like the 88th and the 92nd minute or whatever it was. And that's where I get really split on where Villa are at the moment, because the Bayern Munich result was absolutely fantastic, like I say, and it was absolutely brilliant. But again, it wasn't like they absolutely destroyed Bayern Munich. It was very much more of a tactical game and picking your moments and getting that little bit of magic, getting that little bit of luck on your side already. And it's, look at, when I look at this, like I mentioned already, it's either that they're just getting out of jail free, they're just well organised and You know, they're using their bench well, good tactics, maybe it's a bit of that. Could just be a purple patch. And again, the form of some of these guys might dry up. You know, the Ipswich game, John Duran comes off the bench and cannot get the winner in that situation. Ipswich pulled back from being 2-1 down to draw the game. But with the fixtures we've just looked at over October and November, if Villa do keep this up, we're going to be, you know, if they were to keep this kind of form up and keep putting up this type of points tallies, you know, like over the 6 games in each of these months, you know, winning 4, drawing 1, losing 1, then you would be looking at this and saying this is the form of a team that goes on to win stuff, namely the league, because, you know, the hallmark of champions is winning games by any means necessary, getting points in the match against Leicester, against Everton, against Wolves, making sure you win those games absolutely no matter what. And, you know, if you can do that essentially all season long, now Villa are not going to ever win the league or whatever, but that's just the hallmark of champions, as people always say it when they look at big teams that do historic things or really dominate, you know, really significant divisions across world football. And that's what, you know, that's maybe what Villa are doing right now. Have they actually got in their team now that kind of cutting edge, that kind of willingness to be champions, to be winners? And, you know, maybe the league might be a bit beyond them. It's hard to imagine winning the Champions League, obviously, because that's just, number one now, a totally different thing that nobody has ever seen before. So it's just one of those ones that'll be really, you know, this is like a discovery season for everyone, isn't it? But there is the FA Cup, there is the League Cup, there is like getting back into the Champions League next season by like remaining in that top 4 category. One of the things that makes me think it could be that, it could be that Villa are like on the ascendancy, they are actually improving year on year, is because if we look at the starting lineups that they've had across the entire season so far in all competitions, there has been 8 players that have started every game. They have been ever present, and that's given them a real level of consistency. Again, this is guys all the way up the spine of the team. We're looking at Konsa, Pau Torres, Lucadinha, Onana, Tielemans, Rogers, Watkins. These guys have played every game. Now, some of the other ones has maybe been a little bit of injury has forced like McGinn out the team, Bailey out the team, Ramsey out the team, and then the construction of the defence might be a bit more tactical for the opponent that they're playing and all the rest of it. But that consistent spine of the team is, again, something that we always see with teams that are uber successful and dominate divisions and, you know, win many football matches and go on and have like pretty important and historic periods in their club's history. Because when you look at the kind of typical personnel that has played the majority of the season, Ramsey missed the first like 3 or 4 games. I know he's come off injured against Bayern here. We'll see how serious it is in the fullness of time, but he's been pretty ever present since in the team. And again, a guy that I think is wildly underrated. Having been at Villa Park and seen this guy in action, like, he is an elite player. I've always been a big fan of him. But having a guy like him now next to Rogers especially, the one thing I've always loved about Rogers since he's signed for Aston Villa is his running power, is his ability to travel up the pitch, is to really go through the heart of the opposition, through the middle ground especially, be very direct. And he's a very good teammate. And I think in this role, just off the forward, he's like really developed. You know, his numbers are through the roof this season compared to last year, and that has really helped on with the likes of Onana, who is a lot more defensive, but again equally loves to drive up through the middle of the pitch and is a willing runner in that sense. And in the balance of Tielemans, who's got a bit of that in him, but he's way more the pass master, he's way more the architect from the back in this type of team, with a peak arrowhead forward in Watkins. Konsa, who I think is really in the conversation for one of the best defenders in the league now, no two ways about it for me. Pau Torres and Lucadinha on the left-hand side here is the kind of wide crosser, the wide kind of artillery on this side. And then, you know, depending on where the ball is and who else is playing, you know, some other things that have moved around. Maybe it's been Big DC, sometimes it's been Bogard at right back, or, you know, a few other guys, and Konsa and Pau have been next to each other, but for the most part, I think Diego Carlos, as we've seen against Bayern Munich, probably in the best 11 when fit and available. But having this kind of, even if you bring Carlos into this, even if you bring Ramsey into this equation along with Digne, you're only really looking at Bailey. This position here is the one that is kind of ever changing. The rest of it is so consistent. And, you know, number one, can you keep doing that all season long? Can you continue to play all these guys, have them fit and available, which we've seen has been a bit of a struggle at times already with some of them, and have these guys coming off the bench and really influence the game? The predicted lineup for Villa this weekend does have Philogene retaining his place and Duran making a start alongside Watkins. So we might see a bit of a tweak against Man United. I really do hope Villa absolutely crucify Man United at the weekend, do not get me wrong. But it's just when I look at how the seasons went so far, and I don't want to be a bubble burster or anything like that, but I find it hard to be mad optimistic and like have my confidence in Villa reinforced when I actually drill in and look at how those games did actually pan out. Now, when you kind of zoom out and see them as like the first kind of chapter of the season, when we get to the Man United game, that kind of again bookends it with an international break, this little period that we're in at the moment. So I'm thinking, would I be surprised if Villa after the international break or when we get to November really started to have the wheels fall off a little bit, the form maybe deteriorate a little bit, maybe some of the ground that they've gained early season might come away from them? Or are we going to see in November this continue? And if that was to happen, like that's just what I can't work out. It's not what I'm, that's what I'm trying to wrestle with in terms of what's happened so far for Aston Villa. Because as much as I rate the team, I rate the manager, I rate everything about them, just when I drill into that, it does make me think, what are we seeing here? Is this like something amazing, or is this like, problems that will later rise to the surface? I'll be really interested to see what you guys think in the comment sections of this one on screen, and now some other stuff that I've made the YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more content like this. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.